Welcome back to the AOM podcast. I'm your host, Harry Brailsford, coming to you from the Patriot Club at the Range in Austin, Texas, where I'm joined by Scott Lopez. Hi.
Hey, how's it going, Harry?
Good. So still celebrating your book, The Ultimate Guide to AOM. And folks, we're going to tell you how to get a free copy at the end of the podcast. So Scott, I want to talk about fast-tracking AOM sales. There's some success factors, so let me read them off and you can comment. Direct cost savings.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, switching from OEM maintenance to us, you're going to have an instant cost savings, as you mentioned, up to 80%, depending on how large your estate is, depending on what you save.
Yep, absolutely. Avoiding the OEM price increases post-warranty. Are OEMs known for that?
Yeah, so, I mean, again, the OEM wants you to refresh every 3 years.
Yeah.
Right? And again, we talked about the mean time before failure on this gear could be up to 20 years. So, what they usually do in years 4 and 5 is increase the cost to about the same price it would cost to refresh it. So, an example would be, hey, it's going to cost you 80 grand to go years 4 and 5 because they're years older, so it's a little bit more risk for it to fail. So we have to increase our cost to make up for that risk. Or for $100,000, you could refresh all the gear and get all new hardware. Yeah. So they really jack up the price to make you refresh. And look at that. In the last 10, 15 years, we've been so cash rich. The whole country's been doing great. Every big guy out there, every enterprise company is like, just refresh it every 3 years. Yeah. Well, those days are gone, right? Yeah. So now people need to do their best to extend the life of their network and just try to cut corners and save money anywhere they can.
There we go. Next up, IT assets enjoy an extended life, right? You're extending the life of the IT asset, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, right? We've got gear that we're supporting today that have a 12-year runtime. Yeah, it's been up and running for 12 years, just chugging along, right? Some equipment out there has one specific job and it's been doing that job for years. And look, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Yeah, it's really that simple. If it's working, don't fix it. You don't have to touch it. Yep. Sometimes there would be a threat of software, right? So it's really funny. I always tell our customers, give the example of the cell phone, right? So we will say, well, if you don't go with our maintenance, then we're not going to get any software updates. Well, let me tell you what happens when you do a software update on a server that's 5 years old or networking gear that's 5 years old. It'll slow it down. Yeah. And they want you to do the update. Yeah. And of course. The update really isn't needed, right? So it's like when your cell phone needs an update. What happens, 2 years after your cell phone needs an update, and you do an update, and it's getting a little slow, it's getting kind of laggy. Yeah. Oh, you know what? And the next month there's a special on cell phones, so just trying to get you to refresh.
No, good analogy, and we'll end on flexibility. So if I read correctly in the chapter, your concept of AOM is not to lock you into long-term contracts. A little flexibility there.
Absolutely, right? So we are pretty small, so we're nimble, right? We don't lock people into 1-year contracts. If you want to go month to month, we can let you go month to month, right? That really actually helps out some of the bigger guys, the enterprise guys and the public guys, where instead of taking one big hit for maintenance in Q1, you can break it out through the year, and it kind of helps you with your quarterly numbers.
Yep, so, perfect. Well, thanks for joining us, and thank you, folks, for following the AOM podcast series. And again, the link below over to Scott's site is where you can download the Ultimate Guide to AOM. So Scott, let's talk red ocean, blue ocean. It's a business concept. Blue ocean is sort of optimistic. Red ocean is pessimistic. And in the book, you frame it up as there's natural advocates for AOM, and then there's people who it's not in their best career interest, perhaps, to extend the life of the warranty on hardware. But you have ideas that you can bring those people over and make them advocates for AOM.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I think people are going to have to do what they have to do to survive these days. Yeah. Right? We're coming into a recession. COVID kicked off that recession, and there's some people out there that just don't have the funds to extend the life of their network or to go with the OEM maintenance. Look, we'd all like to drive a Ferrari. Yeah. We wouldn't, right? But sometimes you got to stick with the Chevy. The Chevy's going to get you there too. So when you say red ocean, blue ocean, you're talking about the technology side, the CTOs, and down the data center managers and the engineers that were trained by the OEMs, right? You got to figure every engineer out there is Cisco trained, is HP, is IBM trained, right? And during that training, they're taught about third party and not to fear it, but stick with the OEM, right? That's what they're taught. Well, the other side of the business is your CFO, your CEO, your procurement guys whose job is to save money, right? And look, we've worked with some very large customers, and sometimes it's one of my favorite. I'm a sales guy, so one of my favorite closes in sales is you can't afford not to.
Yep.
Sometimes you can't afford to not use third-party maintenance.
Exactly.
You have to. So, we're once our engineers get to see that. Look, our engineers are Cisco trained as well, right? We've got dual CCIEs, minimum dual CCIEs on all of our networking gear, right?
Yeah.
We've got the best guys in the world for our storage and servers, right? So they're all still OEM trained. So once the CTOs, CIOs see that you're still dealing with an OEM trained engineer, they get past it pretty quick.
There we go.